It's best of 3, guys. It's the Acer Team Story Cup, or again, I keep doing that. The Home Story Cup qualifiers for the European region. Top 4 today make it through to the invitee session, and day 2, or the next tournament for the top 8 tomorrow, to win a trip fully paid to Take's little abode. Before we hop into the introductions here, I want to give some shout outs to the people on Reddit because I've kind of neglected to check the thread. And there's some pretty good stuff posted here. Do you think they'll ever add the Leviathan unit to Zerg? And if so, how would they implement it? No, because it's so way overpowered. Go Paranoid, says Johannes Wolf. Roses are red, violet beat Pulse. I was very sad. I did not take it like an adult. Look at that poem. And alright, let's hop into the introductions, guys. Spawning here in the lower left corner of the map from Acer, the red Zerg player, Paranoid. His opponent in the upper left, from Alien Invasion, the green Terran player, Lillekanin. I really just, I can't, this series has been so good. Like, I'm dead serious. I offered these guys, like, I need to get you guys back for a show match sometime, because these games, this isn't the Korean metagaming we're watching. We're not watching the 5 million APM of like some crazy Zerg player, but we're watching some of the coolest, most tactical, strategical decisions out of both of these guys, and it's been working really well. Now, I think the final drone count killed at the end of that game was like close to 84, 90, something like that. It was pretty ridiculous, and Lillekanin certainly got his money's worth out of those Hellions. I don't think that's a strategy he'll go for again. I mean, we kind of talked towards the end of the game. Those medevacs were elevating a lot of the, sorry, my puns are built in and instinctual, I'm sorry. But he was elevating a lot of the Hellions to the main, which worked out pretty fantastic, don't get me wrong. But again, like it just kind of kills me. We never saw the double evolution chambers with the Roach one at the front. With the Queens and the Spine Coil that he had down, I think he was worried about the Banshee tearing them down. So in one regard, it kind of makes sense, but in another, it's kind of like, dude, come on. Like, you just let so many Hellions through your base. Back at home, though, whoa, he's going for a 3-hatch before pool. He's going to go gas, too? Oh, he's going 3-hatch gas before pool. This is about as greedy as it gets. He lucks out scouting Lillekanin right away, and while Lillekanin's been doing a lot of weird, odder, strange strategies, he's not been implementing the I guess, overabundance of Reapers, the dedication of Reapers, so to speak. So, really, it'd be 3 Reapers early on that would shut this down, outside of, like, a proxy or something. But, okay. We'll see what he ends up going with here. Of course, he has no idea that this is the case, and he may be playing safe than sorry. I gotta give some props, though. In both of these games, in games 1 and 2, if you guys missed them, Lillekanin, cheese aside, weirdness aside, he's been going for this dual blend of, like, bio and mech, which, it's expensive. It's hard to pull off, and I've only been able to see players like MMA really utilize it to its fullest potential. For Lillekanin to try and implement this, first off, I gotta give him big props. It's cool to watch, and it's strange to see, and it's the strategy a lot of Zerg players aren't used to coming up against, but at the same time, it's one of those things that's kind of like taking your dessert before your dinner. You know, you get the Thors and the tanks and the Hellbats out early, great, fantastic, but you don't have stim till like 15 minutes in the game. You don't have bio ready to go, and you certainly don't have medevacs dropping till later on. So if Paranoid were to use this third base, like, it's going to be for mining. Like, he's done this in a very greedy fashion, but if this was like a 3-base Roach Bailing bust in the same style that we've seen Hyun do in the past, I think this would be a really, really good way to, like, really punish Lillekanin, who goes for those sort of openers. But whether he's got it in him or not, we'll have to wait and see. Third commands are coming down, and looks like we're going to have not Reapers, but in fact, Hellions coming out once more. Now, as I look around the map, there's no proxy starport anywhere, so it's not going to be quite that same tactic. But even without the starport, okay, it's going to be on base. Even without the starport to make a medevac, you can still get across the map with Hellions and deal damage early. Again, I reference you the game we saw versus Tefl earlier with Euthermal. But we do have metabolic boost this time, and the Spine Cars even come down for Paranoia's sake. So he'll have this third base pretty well covered. I think a big part of the Spine Car decision, by the way, guys, it's twofold. One, is going to be able to reach up to the cliff if he puts an Overlord here for vision, which he's looking to do, because oftentimes this cliff has Marines, Hellbats, everything sitting up here to shoot down. But more so, the creep spread is going to be really delayed. So getting Queens over there to defend, getting Zerglings over there to defend will not be easy. Also, that was really weird. I think he didn't see his own creep spread. Yeah, he like revealed his own creep spread with the Lings. So safe and nestled around the third for the time being, Lillekanin will not be able to do a lot of damage this game, I fear. The Hellions are coming out very early, but there's just too many Zerglings already on the play. And Paranoid's cut workers to do this, granted, but he's got 11 more on the way. He went back to droning after making this. And this is a much better way, a much safer way to handle the earlier Hellions that do come out. Now, as he tries to, I guess, muddle around the map, it's a weird dance of these units. He's, well, he might catch them if Lillekanin stops paying attention. He kills an Overlord in the main, by the way.
First blood.
I don't know if that was actually first blood. Sorry, it's just the first thing I saw die. But he's, alright, cutting around the Zerglings now. Getting a couple good hits off. He's going to clean these up, lose a couple Hellions for it, but it doesn't yield his map control, which ends up being one of the biggest problems with this, because so often is the time where you've got a lot of Hellions out, great, fantastic, but then they die, and you've got nothing to follow through for later on. But gases are coming out. I imagine we'll see a lair here fairly soon. And for Paranoid, again, I'm not sure if this will be Roach Hydra, if this will be Baneling Zerglings. I mean, I imagine it'll be Baneling Zergling Mutalisk. It's kind of the comfort zone for most players. It's what they've been playing for years, but again, Hydras, ever since they received that buff, they become a little more volatile and a lot more difficult to deal with in StarCraft 2. Not saturating the gases. This is gonna suck. If he is gonna go for this mech opener, blend into bio once again. Okay, there we go. I was gonna say, he's gonna need all the gas in the world to make that work. Armory on the way. Yep. Stim coming out at the same time, so it's gonna, again, be that sort of blend. It's cool to see this, guys. This is like anything but normal, but the problem is, and this doesn't change when you, like, whether you're going for just straight up mech or straight up bio, like tanks, Thors, these are very expensive units that are very, very gas intensive that you can't really afford to spend a lot on if you're going to be going for bio upgrades at the same time. A lot of what this ends up doing is costing you your medevacs. You know, you basically yield your medevac production in order to get all these upgrades out. And that's, I don't know, everyone says Marines are overpowered, Stim is really cool, blah blah blah, but it's not the Marines that make them overpowered, it's the medevacs like that make the Marines overpowered, keeping them alive with heals, allowing them to Stim. Oh my god, there's a hole in the wall. A hole in the log at the bottom of the sea. He's gonna actually be able to use this against those Zerglings. This was meant to keep the Hellions out, but this will be used to the Hellions' advantage here. Queens are trying to clean this up, but the Zerglings, as we saw, got nothing done for it, and now these drones in the natural completely compromised. He's got to be careful. He's trying to get some roasty toasty shots off here. Lillekanin, he's down in worker supply, but again, he's not a player who goes for that super macro 70 worker, 50 SCV, whatever game. But his Hellions do get locked into the main here. Queen on hold position, couldn't chase those drones. In the end, gets about 11 workers killed for this. Not exactly worth the Hellion dive, but it's not the workers that make this worthwhile. It was the 40 some odd Zerglings he killed that were choked in trying to chase the Hellions that makes this a little bit more worthwhile for Lillekanin. Now, Acer Paranoid did throw up not only a macro hatchery, guys, but he takes a fourth very early. It's like the definition of greed coming into this game. But we got Paranoid making an infestation pit. We got a Spire coming down as well. I mean, he's not looking to get stuck on this layer tech by any means, but it's worth noting we don't have any melee upgrades coming out. We never saw Baneling now, so whether this is going to be for swarm hosts, or whether this ends up being for like Roach Hydra fungal growth combinations, or hell, maybe he just goes straight to Mutalisk, I don't know. But he's not going to be investing too heavily in these Zerglings. He's making some right now because he knows he still has to dance with the Hellions, and these won't go away anytime soon. But as the Roaches start coming out, he'll be able to defend a little bit easier, a little bit better. He's got Spine Crawlers, Spore Crawlers down. I mean, again, Lillekanin's playing this weird blend of Terran, but so is kind of Paranoid at the same time. But it is going to be Enduring Locust coming out, not Hive Tech. Not sure I love this choice because it's not like Lillekanin's going straight to mech. But this is a map unlike on Merry-Go-Round. We saw Lillekanin take a lot of damage from the swarm hosts, but he stayed alive for a lot longer than he should have, mostly because of the terrain advantage that map afforded. On Frost, you're not afforded the same opportunity, not even in the slightest. So if he goes for this composition, swarm hosts may be able to just simply siege up. I mean, by the way, when you guys hear casters and commentators talk about like what is a good swarm host map or not, it really is dictated heavily by how many bases the swarm host can reach. So for example, this is a good swarm host map because you can plant the swarm host here and it can hit 1, 2, and 3 bases without having to reposition them. So I mean, that's not the only thing that dictates a good swarm host map, but it's one of the biggest influencers of like how lazy you can leave them to keep them being incredibly effective. But Lynx from Paranoid getting in here, and he scouts no siege tank, so he's going to be a little bit happy making these swarm hosts still. Locusts will tear through most bio in lower accounts, but of course once you get a lot with medevacs, it's not as big of an issue. Atop this too, again, I reiterate, the Hellbats with Blue Flame will tear through the Locust Waves. They've got enough HP to get at least a blast or two off, usually before going down. The Mutalisks, I don't know if they'll be a problem for Lillekanin or not, but he is moving out with a fairly small force. If a base was here, he would be able to knock it down, but because the base was taken to the south, and he's taking a fourth as well, that's not really going to be an opportunity afforded to him. Does he know about this? Okay, complete. He does know about the fourth base. Paranoid, by the way, I did mention Swarmhost and doing Locust and all these wonderful things. You start talking about game up for it, but he's not made any yet. So looking to just respond to whatever Lillekanin necessarily has. 54 links coming out, which means he's going to potentially have 54 banelings as well. Hive Tech as well to complement the upgrades. If not anything else, at least the Ultralisk Cavern could come down. Ultralisks are so good at just breaking ranks. Again, they don't really win you the game, but they'll definitely help win army engagements. Well, pushing forward here. This has been revealed, of course. Paranoid has a lesser army supply right now, guys, and it's worth noting the Banelings don't have speed, so even though they're going to have the advantage of being on creep, they're not necessarily going to be able to fight this army too well. This is the scariest choke in the game Lillekanin could move through, and he gets through somewhat easily. He sees so many Banelings coming down, though. Backs away, tries to split his forces here on the ramp. Marines have got to be behind the Marauders. I think he realizes this a second too late, so he tries to stim backwards, forcing the Banelings into a choke where they get soaked up by those Hellbats. Blue Flame goes down, and the Marauders, unfortunately, are not numerous enough to deal with the Roach follow-through. More Banelings were made behind this, and again, their triple hook's not quite done yet. Lillekanin forced backwards with a majority of his army completely killed. Oh god, third base. Third base is absolutely going to get destroyed. Banelings collide into the command center. Oops, that's awkward. That was a mistake for sure, but most of these SCVs are going to get out. Well, actually, with that last connection, they make them a one-shot range here for the Zerglings. But curiously enough, the Mutalisks haven't been a threat this game. He killed so many of them on the front lines there while this was going on that Paranoid only has 11 out. So right now, Lillekanin can afford to invest in Marauders, Thors, and Hellbats. Things he's going to need to soak the Baneling hits and get past the Banelings. I doubt we'll see Widowmines. A lot of Terran players are really starting to shy away from Widowmines. Some players have really embraced them really nicely. If I could reference one, Joxy, of course, is someone I love talking about so much on stream. Not because I'm trying to name drop and sound really cool, but because he's the only player I've seen that actually micros his Widowmines. And when done correctly, it has the biggest payoff in the world. But because a lot of players just kind of leave them on auto attack, they end up getting really bad hits off, and they never really do a ton of damage. So we've seen a lot of players do what Lillekanin's doing right now. Maybe not the mech bio blend, but more like just getting Hellbats as the priority. Because Hellbats are guaranteed to soak at least 4 Baneling hits. Well, I guess splash damage, but 4 Baneling hits, or they'll kill a bunch with their blue flame on the front line as well, with that giant cone, that huge arc. So, I mean, Hellbats are a lower, I guess, maximum amount of damage, but a higher low-end guaranteed amount of damage when you come against this composition. Anyways, Banelings are going to try and roll in here, but recognizing that this would be off of creep, knowing that that's not a good idea, decides to fall back. Once the Lillekanin gets trapped onto the creep, it's going to be a lot better and safer for him to take an engagement, but Ultralisk Cavern was placed down while this was going on, guys. We got Chitinous Plating on the way, level 3 armor upgrades on the way, and these Banelings just need to buy their time. Lillekanin doesn't have a force that's going to end the game anytime soon, but his army supply is way too strong for Paranoid to engage into right now. Not unless he's willing to lose all of his Banelings for very little damage. But this choke is the scariest thing in the world. Once again, it's the worst position Lillekanin can try to take. Finds his Thors, unfortunately, incredibly exposed, and the Marines in the back are stimming away from these Banelings, trying to roll in here. Not enough focus fire going down, but he retains a majority of the Marines this time. This was not the case last time. He's able to push Paranoid back. Paranoid's got an army supply lead right now, guys, but that's only because he just made 90 freaking Zerglings in the production queue. Lillekanin actually should not kill these buildings and use this choke against Paranoid. As he gets into the natural base, there's not going to be any Banelings here. It's just going to be raw Zerglings that have not a lot of upgrades. But Banelings come in from the backside, connect to those Marines, connect to those Marauders, and there's not enough left. He lifts up in the Badvax, but the question is, can he get out alive? Boost is still on cooldown. The Mutalisks are in hot pursuit. So he boosts away up here to the north. Once again, we got Banelings rolling in. Lillekanin's third base is about to get massacred. Nope, never mind. Nope, there we go. The anticlimacticness of it all. Alright, collides on top of the command center, doesn't kill the command center. That was a big mistake out of Paranoid. If he had focused every single Baneling into the command center, you'll notice 2 went off on the SCVs, he probably would have killed it. But instead, he only gets a couple SCV kills and doesn't claim the command center. Oh no, Lillekanin didn't continue to produce Hellbats. Oh, this is a problem. This is a big problem. These pure speedlings will actually be fairly effective. The Bioforce isn't numerous enough to deal with this. A Baneling hit goes off, but it doesn't kill the Marines thanks to those combat shields. SCVs are pulled to the back lines here, but Thors can't deal with Zerglings. Not by any stretch of the imagination. It's Hellions, it's Hellbats, and it's Marines that push these back. Lifts the command center, though, to still live to see another day. An Ultras comes in awkwardly late to the party and punished rightly so for it, but this is a misclick. I've done this before, guys, too. He's building Reapers. That's not what he wants to build out of these command centers, or sorry, out of the barracks. I guarantee it. Although, you know what, granted, giving Lillekanin and his crazy weird tactics, this may end up being on purpose. Who knows? But unfortunately, he's been able to deal very little to no damage to Ace or Paranoid this whole game. He's been taking worker losses, Paranoid has not. Well, I guess actually kind of a little bit from earlier on, but still. Lillekanin's presence on the map, not nearly as effective as you would want it to be at this point. Now, there's not a lot of Banelings left at this stage. It's mostly Zerglings and Ultralisks, but I mean, the Ultras are now the splash damage that the Banelings provided before. Zerglings are going to be the sort of fodder, I guess, to soak these hits. Widowmines should get a good hit off or two, but friendly fire is also going to be a big thing to factor in. Thors are not going to be focus fired down by the by the Ultras, but GG, well played his call, and I meant to say the Ultras weren't going to be focused down by the Thors, but my tongue is tied, and this game was twisted, and this series was so good. But Paranoid takes it, after all. Now, 2-1, he advances forward over Lillekanin, knocking him out of the brackets, but also continue on here in the Home Story Cup qualifiers.